slap!
The sharp crack echoes through Charter X Flight 712's first-class cabin. Tara Sinclair's cheeks burn as she presses a trembling hand to her shoulder. Her heart pounds so loud she's certain everyone can hear it. A beat of stunned silence follows. Then, eyes widening, Tara slowly looks up. She's in her crisp white blouse and dark jeans, ticket clutched in her other hand, frozen beneath the glinting overhead lights. Her first thought, why did she just get slapped? Olivia Trent stands a mere 3 feet away. Perfectly poised in her pressed uniform, Olivia's chest heaves with restrained fury. Her ice blue eyes glare like daggers. "You don't belong here," she spits with a sneer, voice low but slicing through the hush of the cabin. Passengers freeze. Phones hover midair. Breaths catch, but no one dares step forward. Tara's vision swims. Each second stretches unbearably. She wants to scream, to demand respect. She earned this seat. Instead, her pulse races with embarrassment and hurt. 5 yards behind her, unseen, Marcus Sinclair watches from 1B. The faint glow of his phone screen illuminates his stony face as he reads the boarding report. Daughter removed from first class. His jaw clenches. Without a word, he taps out a single line. Buy out this flight. Send $10 million compensation to Tara now. Back in first class, Olivia drags her fingertip down the glossy service cart, watching Tara collapse onto a seat in the gallery. She turns, furious that even now someone might sympathize with the imposter. Tara's breath catches in her throat. Tears blur her vision as she forces herself upright. Her legs feel like jelly, but she grips the armrest and steadies her gaze on Olivia. The cabin's soft murmur resumes, yet the damage is done. A hush falls again when onboard speakers crackle. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. This flight has been fully chartered by Mr. Marcus Sinclair." Heads swivel. Olivia's composure snaps. Her lips part in horror as she realizes the ride isn't over for her. It's just beginning. And Tara, heart still hammering, senses that the worst injustice of her life has only ignited a far greater storm. Tara's legs trembled as she shuffled toward the economy cabin. Every eye in first class trained on her retreating back. But Olivia Trent wasn't done. She snapped her heels together, spun on her perfectly manicured toe, and stalked after Tara with the predatory grace of a lioness circling wounded prey. "Hold it right there," Olivia barked, her voice surprisingly loud in the hushed cabin. Tara froze, shoulders hunched, as the other passengers shifted in their seats. Olivia leaned in, her brown eyes cold and razor-sharp. "Did I make myself clear? You're leaving this seat now." Tara managed a small nod, her throat tight, but she dared not speak. She swallowed hard, her pulse drumming in her ears so loudly she could barely hear the soft rustling of the flight attendants' uniforms as they pretended not to notice. Olivia reached out and snatched the boarding pass from Tara's hand, pinching it between thumb and forefinger as if it were completely meaningless. "Honestly," Olivia continued, voice low enough for only Tara to hear, "I wouldn't expect someone like you to understand what first class really means." She let the words hang, a taunt sharpened with prejudice. Then she straightened, lifted her chin, and cleared her throat. "Everyone, please remain seated." A ripple of uneasy silence swept through the cabin. Tara's cheeks burned, and she pressed her lips together, determined not to cry in front of strangers. Her mind raced. How could someone treat me this way? She recalled the pride she felt booking this ticket, her first journey alone, a milestone for any teenager, let alone the daughter of a prominent airline owner. Yet here she was, mocked for her plain clothes, her quiet confidence twisted into an excuse for humiliation. Her stomach clenched as she realized the depth of Olivia's spite. This was never about a seating error. It was personal. Tara squared her shoulders, attempting to reclaim some shred of dignity. But Olivia wasn't finished. She tilted her head, a smug half-smile playing on her lips, and added, "When you're back in economy, try not to get in anyone's way. With that, Olivia turned on her heel and glided back to the service cart as if she'd just delivered a simple correction. But for Tara, it felt like a verdict. You don't belong here. As Tara descended the aisle, each step felt heavier than the last. She knew one thing for certain. No amount of silence would make this pain go away. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet flame of determination ignited. One that would not be extinguished by prejudice or power. Tara's footsteps felt heavier with each shuffle down the narrow aisle. The plush first-class seats she'd just vacated glowed behind her, a cruel reminder of what she'd lost. Around her, the hum of conversation dissolved into a murmur of indifference. No one offered a hand. No one met her gaze. She slipped on oversized sunglasses, hiding the wetness gathering at the corners of her eyes. In the economy cabin, Tara found a lone empty seat at the very rear. She eased down, pressing her hands to her face as hot tears slid beneath the dark lenses. Each sob shook her small frame. The soft overhead bins seemed impossibly high, as if the rest of the world had been lifted out of her reach. A middle-aged woman across the aisle glanced over, eyes full of sympathy, but said nothing. A little boy clutched his mother's hand, peeking with wide curiosity. Even the flight attendants walked past without offering a tissue or a kind word. It felt as though the entire plane agreed. Tara didn't belong. Alone in that cramped row, Tara's thoughts tumbled. I studied so hard. I earned this. The memory of her straight-A report card flashed in her mind, alongside the proud smile her father had worn when he booked the ticket. Now that pride felt distant, buried beneath the sting of public humiliation. She hugged her backpack to her chest, fingertips trembling. For a moment, she considered standing up, marching back to reclaim her seat. But the knot in her throat tightened. Words lodged like stones. Instead, she watched the cabin floor glide past outside the window, clouds drifting serenely, unaware of human cruelty below. Still, somewhere beneath the shock and the shame, a quiet flicker of resolve kindled. Tara lifted her sunglasses, wiping away tears with the back of her hand. She straightened in her seat, chin raised, eyes meeting the sympathetic stare of the nearby passenger. She didn't speak, but that look said it all. I will not be erased. Hey, have you ever felt wrongly judged? Drop a in the comments if you've ever stood up for yourself when no one else did. Tara sank into her cramped economy seat, shoulders hunched, replaying Olivia's cruel words. Each whispered apology in her mind died before it reached her lips. She stared ahead at the dimmed lights above, wishing she could disappear. That's when she felt it, a weighty gaze pressing down from behind. She hesitated, then turned her head just enough to catch a glimpse of her father, Marcus Sinclair, through the narrow aisle. He sat in 1B, perfectly composed in his tailored navy suit. The soft cabin light danced across his silver cufflinks as he lifted a sleek smartphone. For a moment, his face revealed nothing but steely resolve. Tara's breath caught. He saw everything. Marcus tapped his screen with deliberate precision. His thumb hovered over a single message he had composed. Buy out this entire flight. Wire $10 million compensation to Tara now. He pressed send. Tara's eyes widened as she watched the little confirmation banner flicker. Transaction complete. It felt surreal, like watching a private drama play out in slow-mo. A subtle hush rippled through the cabin as passengers sensed a shift in the atmosphere. The cabin crew exchanged puzzled glances, pausing mid-service, while first-class attendants glanced toward Marcus's row with newfound respect and a hint of fear. Tara slowly removed her sunglasses and swallowed hard, her pulse hammering with a mix of relief and awe. She pressed her palms together in her lap, heat flooding her cheeks. She hadn't dared imagine her father would intervene so decisively, so dramatically. Behind her, the soft click of a message being drafted broke the suspense. Tara dared another look back. Marcus scrolled through a confirmation screen. The $10 million transfer, instant and irrevocable. No one on this plane would ever doubt who held the real power. Tara's chest tightened with a fragile spark of hope. The isolation, the humiliation, they hadn't broken her. Instead, they'd illuminated the bond she shared with her father. In that moment, she realized she was never truly alone. As her pulse settled into a steady thrum, she let herself smile, just a little. The storm Olivia had unleashed would be met by a force far greater, Marcus Sinclair's silent, unyielding authority. And that thought gave Tara the courage she needed to face whatever came next. Tara stood just outside the first-class threshold, her back pressed against the cool metal partition. Her heart hammered, and every muscle trembled. She clutched her boarding pass so tightly the edges bent. Above her, overhead bins clanged as a flight attendant restocked drinks, but no one offered a comforting word, or even a glance. Olivia Trent re-emerged from the galley, her expression a portrait of smug satisfaction. She paused in the aisle, hands on her hips, lips curved into a mocking smile. "You know," she said, voice loud enough for nearby passengers, "this is the last time you'll ever get this close to luxury." She flicked her wrist, indicating the plush seats behind her. A murmur rippled through the cabin. Some passengers shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Others pretended not to hear. Tara swallowed hard, jaw clenched against the sting of shame. She wanted to protest, to shout that she had every right to be there, but her throat tightened and no words came. Olivia leaned in, eyes glittering. "Next time, dress the part," she whispered, tone dripping with contempt. Then she straightened and tisked theatrically. "Don't waste my time again." Tara's vision blurred. She blinked away the hot sting in her eyes and took a shaky breath. She felt utterly exposed, an exhibition under thousands of indifferent gazes. Every step she took toward economy felt like walking through fire, each click of her heels another reminder of the cruelty she'd endured. As she slugged herself down into her seat, Tara sensed a shift behind her. She glanced back to see Olivia smoothing her uniform, regaining composure as though the entire ordeal had been a simple corrective action. Yet the cold cruelty in Olivia's eyes lingered longer than any correction deserved. Tara pressed her forehead against the headrest, mind racing. This pain, but it won't define me. She closed her eyes and drew in a slow, steady breath, anchoring herself. Somewhere in that deep exhale, a spark of determination ignited. A soft ping sounded from Marcus's seat in first class, a silent reminder that her father's plan was already in motion. Tara forced herself upright, tugged off her sunglasses, and met Olivia's retreating back with a calm, steady gaze. No tears welled, no cries escaped. In that rare, quiet moment, Tara understood. The world could slap her down, but it couldn't stop her from rising again. Marcus Sinclair's hand hovered over the polished surface of his seat's fold-out tray table. The flight attendant on duty had just delivered a fresh cup of black coffee, strong enough to steady his nerves but never meant for him. His gaze remained fixed on the small illuminated screen of his phone. With a slow exhale, he opened a secure chat with CharterX's operations center. "Control HQ, Marcus Sinclair here," he began, his voice low but carrying unmistakable authority even in the hushed cabin. "Charter Flight 712 is under my direct oversight." A pause. A soft murmur in the earbud at his side confirmed the operator's attention. Marcus continued, his tone clipped and precise. "Effective immediately. Recall Olivia Trent to the chief pilot's office. Suspend her duties, no pay, pending full review. Also, wire the $10 million compensation to my daughter's account. Confirm execution." The operator's swift acknowledgement crackled through his earpiece. "Understood, sir. Dispatching now." Marcus closed the chat and slipped the phone back into his suit pocket. His posture remained unflappable, yet beneath that calm facade, his pulse hammered. He allowed himself a single glance down the narrow economy aisle. Tara glanced up from her seat, sensing movement. When her father's gaze met hers through the tiny gap in seats, relief surged through her chest like warm sunlight. Her eyes widened, lips parting in a breathless, "Thank you." That silent exchange conveyed more than any words ever could. Behind them, first-class passengers looked toward the aft cabin in curiosity. A flight attendant paused mid-step, consulting a discreet tablet as instructions rolled in. Moments later, murmurs echoed. "Olivia Trent, report immediately to cockpit." In the galley, Olivia's confident stride faltered. She exchanged a panicked glance with Emma, her junior colleague, as an urgent page blared overhead. "Olivia Trent, please attend the cockpit without delay." Olivia's perfectly applied lipstick trembled as she swallowed, flushing a pale shade of fear. She lifted a trembling hand to adjust her name tag, eyes darting toward the service cart as though searching for an escape. Back in economy, Tara's heart fluttered with cautious optimism. The knot of humiliation that had twisted in her gut since Chapter 2 loosened ever so slightly. She pressed her palm to her chest, feeling the rapid, hopeful beat beneath her blouse. Around her, the cabin's tense hush deepened. Passengers shifted in their seats, sensing the undercurrent of authority at play, an unspoken reckoning brewing just beyond their view. Tara closed her eyes for a moment and let herself soak in the unspoken promise. Her father was watching, intervening, and ensuring that justice would not be silent forever. And with that thought, the tiny spark of resolve in her chest blazed a little brighter. An uneasy hush settled over Charter X Flight 712. Tara sat forward, gripping the armrests as anticipation buzzed through the cabin. The gentle hum of the engines felt distant now. Every mind on board sensed a shift in the air. In the cockpit, Captain Reynolds' brow furrowed as he studied the tablet in front of him. A brief, urgent notification had just popped up. "Recall Olivia Trent. Suspend duties immediately." He tapped the confirmation and adjusted his headset. His voice crackled over the intercom. "Flight attendants, please pause service. Olivia Trent, kindly report to the cockpit at once." A ripple of murmurs ran through first class. Emma, the junior attendant, paused mid-step, eyes wide with concern. She caught sight of Olivia's reflection in the galley's polished metal panel, tension radiating off her like heat from a furnace. Olivia halted, fingers gripping the edge of the service cart. Her perfectly manicured nails dug into the chrome handle as her face drained of color. She inhaled sharply, trying to steady herself, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. She whispered to Emma, I don't understand." Emma's gaze flicked toward the cabin door, where Tara watched with wide, hopeful eyes. Emma offered a small, sympathetic nod, an unspoken apology. But Olivia could only stare at the blinking intercom light. As Olivia walked the length of the aisle, her uniform crisp but her confidence in tatters, passengers leaned forward to catch a glimpse. Some exchanged puzzled glances. Others suddenly reached for their phones, fingers poised to record. The power dynamic had shifted so suddenly it felt almost surreal. Tara's heart pounded as she watched Olivia's retreating back. She felt a flutter of something new. Vindication. The knot of humiliation in her chest loosened, replaced by steely resolve. She straightened in her seat and met the anxious eyes of the sympathetic middle-aged woman across the aisle. The woman offered a gentle smile, as if passing along a silent message. "You're not alone." Back in first class, Marcus Sinclair leaned back, arms folded, his expression unreadable but triumphant. He allowed himself a brief nod, satisfied that the gears of justice were in motion. And as Olivia disappeared into the cockpit, shaken and uncertain, the entire plane seemed to exhale. For the first time since takeoff, the tide had truly begun to turn. Olivia Trent stood just inside the cockpit door, every muscle taut with anxiety. Captain Reynolds and his co-pilot exchanged quick, solemn glances as she closed the gap. The faint buzz of the intercom lingered in the air. "Miss Trent," the captain began, voice clipped and professional, "please have a seat." Olivia's throat went dry. She sank onto the cockpit jump seat, clutching the edge of her skirt as though it were the only thing keeping her upright. A senior operations officer from HQ appeared on the small monitor between them. His calm tone only made Olivia's stomach twist tighter. "Good afternoon, Ms. Trent," he said. "We've received a formal complaint regarding your conduct in first class." Olivia's lips parted, but no words came. The officer continued, reciting the facts with chilling precision. A 16-year-old passenger was forcibly removed from her seat despite possessing a valid first-class ticket. Witnesses confirm you questioned only her ticket and made derogatory remarks. Olivia's breath caught. Her gaze darted to Captain Reynolds, who gave a slight, sympathetic nod. She swallowed, voice shaking. "Sir, I was enforcing policy." The officer's next words hit her like a freight train. "That passenger is Ms. Tara Sinclair, daughter of Mr. Marcus Sinclair, owner and majority shareholder of CharterX Airlines." Olivia's face paled. The name echoed in her mind. Sinclair, Billionaire. "My passenger is the owner's daughter?" Her heart pounded so loudly she could barely hear the steady rhythm of the engines behind her. Marcus's voice crackled through the cockpit speaker, calm but unwavering. "Ms. Trent, you humiliated my daughter in front of dozens of paying customers. That behavior is unacceptable." Olivia's hands trembled as she pressed them to her mouth. She closed her eyes, a wave of shame crashing over her. All at once, every mocking glance, every harsh word she'd uttered replayed in excruciating detail. She'd torn apart a teenager's dignity, and at her father's expense. In the small cockpit, time seemed to stretch. Passengers beyond the closed door awaited answers, but Olivia couldn't look at anyone. She could only sit there, trembling in the jump seat, as the reality settled. Her prejudice had cost her everything: respect, job security, and any shred of self-respect. When the officer cleared his throat, Olivia finally met his gaze, voice barely above a whisper. "I understand." And in that moment, the power she once wielded so effortlessly slipped away, replaced by the profound weight of her own disgrace. The cockpit door swung open, and Olivia Trent stepped back into the cabin, shoulders slumped and face drained of color. A hush fell, as if the entire plane collectively held its breath. Passengers craned their necks, their earlier whispers replaced by a solemn anticipation. A tall, uniformed security officer appeared behind Olivia, his stance rigid but respectful. He cleared his throat and addressed her with quiet formality. "Ms. Trent, I'm here to escort you off the aircraft." Olivia's eyes widened. Panic flickered in their depths. She pressed trembling fingers to her lips, staring at the polished aisle carpet as though it might swallow her whole. The authority she once wielded with unwavering confidence had crumbled in an instant. Tara watched from her first-class seat, heart pounding. She felt a tight mixture of vindication and pity. This was the moment she'd silently dreamed of. Justice served without a shout or a spectacle. Olivia turned slowly, her signature heels clicking unevenly against the floor. Passengers leaned forward. A middle-aged couple exchanged strained glances. A businessman paused mid-sip of his champagne. Even the junior attendant, Emma, hovered nearby, eyes soft with sympathy. As Olivia passed each row, her glance flicked upward in silent apology, but no one offered forgiveness. Instead, they watched like witnesses in a courtroom. The cabin lights overhead gleamed coldly on her trembling form. A hush of disapproval rippled when she reached the back. The officer gently placed a hand on her elbow. Olivia's inhale shuddered as she nodded, shame weighing heavier than any uniform badge she'd ever worn. Tara sat forward, eyes moist but resolute. She felt a gentle warmth as nearby passengers shifted, giving her a respectful distance. The contrast was stark. Where once she'd felt invisible, now she sat at the center of a moral victory. At the front, Marcus Sinclair observed with a composed nod, his steely presence a silent reminder of the forces he commanded and the change he expected. Olivia's last step down the aisle echoed like a gavel striking wood, each click a punctuation mark on her career. When she disappeared into the jet bridge, the cabin exhaled as one. And in that collective release, Tara realized the true scale of her father's intervention and the unwavering strength she'd found within herself. The cabin's atmosphere shifted almost imperceptibly as Olivia Trent disappeared down the jet bridge. A collective exhale seemed to ripple through the passengers. Relief, vindication, a subtle sense of justice fulfilled. All eyes turned back to the first-class section where Tara Sinclair had once been forced into exile. Marcus Sinclair rose from his seat with quiet authority and extended his hand toward his daughter. "Come with me," he said. His voice was warm, a stark contrast to the cold formality that had filled the cabin moments before. Tara nodded, her heart pounding in anticipation. As they walked down the aisle, heads turned and passengers offered gentle smiles, some even rising to their feet in applause. A few muttered words of apology under their breath, shaking their heads as if regretting their earlier silence. Tara felt a soft warmth swell in her chest. This time, she was met with solidarity, not indifference. At seat 1A, Marcus handed Tara a small engraved envelope. She opened it with trembling fingers to reveal a crisp, gold-embossed boarding pass, her rightful ticket back to first class. Next to it lay a letter of apology from CharterX Airlines, signed by the CEO himself. "I am deeply sorry for the humiliation you endured," it read. "No passenger should ever feel unwelcome on our flights." Tara's eyes welled as she looked up at her father. He smiled, pride shining in his gaze. "You earned this, Tara." She slid into the plush seat, sinking into the soft leather with a sigh of relief. The flight attendant, Emma, the junior crew member, approached with a sparkling glass of water. "Welcome back, Miss Sinclair," she said softly, offering a reassuring nod. Tara accepted the water, her lips curving into a shy but genuine smile. Around her, passengers settled back into their routines, but the energy in the cabin had transformed. What had been a tableau of silent complicity was now a scene of quiet respect. As Marcus took his seat beside her, he placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You were brave," he whispered, "and you handled it with grace." Tara closed her eyes for a moment, letting the magnitude of the moment sink in. The restoration of her dignity, the public acknowledgement of her worth. She opened them to survey the cabin, meeting the eyes of strangers who now saw her not as an imposter, but as a young woman who refused to be diminished. In that plush first-class sanctuary, Tara Sinclair reclaimed not just her seat, but her pride, and the unwavering belief that everyone deserves respect. The seatbelt sign blinked off as the flight neared its destination, but CharterX Flight 712 was far from ordinary now. A hush fell across the cabin when Captain Reynolds' calm voice crackled through the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain. For your information, Ms. Olivia Trent has been suspended without pay, effective immediately, pending a full disciplinary review. We apologize for any distress caused and thank you for your patience." Mild applause rippled through both cabins, an almost cathartic release of the tension that had gripped everyone since takeoff. Phones whipped out to capture the announcement. Within seconds, snippets of the intercom message and glimpses of Olivia's humiliating exit were being shared across social media. Back in first class, Tara exhaled slowly, her shoulders finally unclenching. The small envelope from her father sat on the tray table, a symbol of more than just a boarding pass. She looked up at Marcus, who offered a proud, reassuring smile. A flight attendant circulated with branded tablets, displaying the airline's public statement. CharterX Airlines maintains a zero-tolerance policy on discrimination. We deeply regret the incident involving our staff member Ms. Trent and Ms. Sinclair. Immediate corrective actions have been taken to ensure respect and dignity for all passengers. Older passengers, the ones with decades of first-class experience, exchanged approving nods. A silver-haired woman leaned in toward Tara, her voice warm. "Don't let anyone ever dim your light again." Tara returned a grateful smile, a tear glinting at the corner of her eye. In the rear cabin, a younger man tapped out a tweet. "Just witnessed a CEO daughter bullied in first class, and then her dad saved the day." Justice served. Charter X. Likes and retweets exploded, fueling the story's momentum far beyond the plane's walls. Marcus reached across the armrest and squeezed Tara's hand. "You handled yourself beautifully," he said softly. "Now the world knows your worth." Tara nodded, her confidence rekindled by the collective support she finally received. The humiliation of earlier chapters had given way to a triumphant vindication that resonated with every passenger, especially the quiet, empathetic souls who'd watched from their seats. As the cabin crew prepared for landing, Tara allowed herself a moment to absorb it all. The text notifications on fellow travelers' phones lit up with headlines. Charter X's CEO puts company ethics first. Teens' dignity restored. Airline takes a stand. When the wheels touched down, the applause was genuine and sustained, echoing through the cabin like a standing ovation. Tara Sinclair, once a silent victim, now stepped off the plane knowing that justice had been served, and that her story would inspire countless others to stand up when no one else would. Tara Sinclair stepped into the quiet foyer of her Manhattan townhouse, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the hardwood floor. She slipped off her coat, letting its weight fall away, a reminder that the turbulence of the flight had finally ended. In the entryway, her eye caught the gold-embossed boarding pass and the CEO's apology letter resting on the console table. She touched the envelope lightly, a tender smile blooming at the corners of her lips. Climbing the narrow staircase, she carried those symbols of restored dignity with her like precious heirlooms. In her small room overlooking Central Park, she placed them gently on her vanity mirror, side by side, the boarding pass proclaiming her rightful place and the letter acknowledging her worth. Across town, the city's din seemed distant. Tara sank onto her desk chair and opened her leather-bound journal. Its pages were blank, waiting to hold her thoughts. She uncapped her favorite pen, ink the color of twilight, and paused. "What do I write after something that changes you forever?" She began. "Today, I learned that no ticket, no matter how fancy, means anything if you don't believe you belong. But I do belong. I have the right to occupy space, to speak my truth, and to demand respect." Her handwriting wavered, then grew firmer as she wrote. She recounted the sting of Olivia's words, the ache of shame sliding down her back, and the unexpected warmth of her father's silent intervention, the $10 million buyout that snapped the world to attention. She paused again and added a final resolute line. "To anyone who's ever been pushed aside or told they don't belong, hold your head high. Your worth isn't defined by others' cruelty, but by the fire that burns within you." Tara closed the journal and sat back, watching golden dust motes drift in the slanted light. She felt something settle deep in her chest, a calm conviction that this moment was more than a personal victory. It was a calling. Later that evening, in the executive lounge at Charter X headquarters, Marcus Sinclair reviewed the new bias training curriculum he'd commissioned, ensuring no other passenger would ever endure what his daughter did. Meanwhile, aboard social media, Tara's words from her journal began to circulate, shared by strangers moved by her story. Back in her room, Tara looked once more at her boarding pass and the apology letter. She whispered a quiet thank you to her father, then blew out the small candle on her desk. The soft glow vanished, but the promise remained, that even after humiliation, kindness and courage can light the way forward. And in the hush that followed, she knew her journey had only just begun.